Go the Distance TV, episode 5. We're going to kick a longer video on a question that I put up on Instagram. And I'm going to keep, if it's possible, to try to link the Instagram post to the video series. So it's kind of like an expanded version. We'll see how long that goes and if it works out. So question was, what is a core belief that you hold that most others disagree with you on? I love this question. This is a Peter Thiel question, founder of Palantir, one of the first investors in Facebook, and just a really, really interesting thinker. And he uses it in job interviews. Hey, sweetie. I'm hanging with Raynard the cat, or kicking it. I love the complexity of the question because at first it sounds super simple, but you're like, oh man, if I answer, somebody's going to disagree with me. And in fact, I'm revealing some type of contrarian thought that I have that maybe I don't tell a lot of people because it's a lot easier to agree about shit than it is to disagree. And often the real beauty and the magic and maybe the answers to some interesting problems come out when we're ready to disagree and reveal things that we believe that are not popular. So I've got a lot of answers to this question myself. We ask it in classes sometimes. I'll share a couple answers. I put a couple on the Instagram. So people seem to get pissed off whenever I say that I believe that humility is overrated and confidence is more important. And it's funny because it begs a better conversation around these definitions, these words. What is humility? What is confidence? But what I don't see happening in the world of coaching, in the world of teaching, or any place that I'm interacting with people, I don't personally run into like tremendously cocky, overconfident people that are trying to run the show all over the place. I run into the opposite, people who've kind of diminished and suppressed their own power for fear of coming off as overconfident. And in a world that probably needs our most confident selves right now, it needs us to be able to take risks and say, look, I might be totally wrong, but I have an opinion and I have an idea and I have a potential solution to this problem. Let's suss it out. Let's play with it. Let's put it out there in the world. And I'm ready to, without the pedigree or 10 degrees or, any external validation of the fact that my idea is worth throwing in the ring. I don't have a PhD in this subject, but guess what? I have an opinion about it based on me extracting some basic information, not just like wingnutting my opinion, but actually like sourcing information and working to create a valuable contribution to a potential problem. I think we need more of that. I think that our attempts at humility, whether they're sincere or insincere, and I think that's a whole other tunnel to go down, often prevent us from throwing our opinion in the ring when it's necessary, valuable, and maybe critical to solving a problem that we haven't, as a society, solved yet. We probably need more of those interesting ideas coming from a variety of people, not just the so-called specialists in the field, because sometimes they're operating in a visual or conceptual tunnel. I believe that we may be the generation that sees immortality. There is a fantastic podcast with Cody Bernhardt. I hope I'm not saying his name wrong. He's at Nerd Reinvented on Insta. Brilliant dude. Fantastic Instagram post and great conversation. And his framework for thinking about the way that the human consciousness may be one day uploaded into the cloud, and that he has a great conceptual framework in this podcast, which I'll try to link to in some way through this. I'll definitely link to it in the Instagram. But his framework and his story and his conceptual framework was this. So imagine that, we're all gods, right? All of us are gods, and we have immortality, and we have the ability to, basically do anything, experience anything, see anything, be anything. How long is that fun? Because we are kind of dealing with eternity as a framework, right? So think of like a permanent vacation in Tahiti with a Corona light by the beach. You're like, this is great for like a day. And then you're like, oh my God, please give me something to work against, work on, find meaning in. It's like, so imagine we're all gods, we're all bored, and somebody says, hey, I've got a game for you. Let's play a game. Here's the game. I'm gonna give you the one thing you can't have now, the only thing you can't have now, and that's limits. And I'm gonna put you in a position where you're dealing with the limitations of physics and gravity and like the confines of being like in an organic form that ultimately decays and dies, so we don't have immortality. And I'm going to put you in the face of problems that you have not experienced yet and you're probably ill-equipped to handle, so you actually have to think outside of the box, and some of you will fail and succeed at these challenges. And then we're going to really shake it up by rolling the dice. We're going to roll the dice, and we're basically going to create a situation where you can be born to any family, rich or poor, any nation, any gender, any race, any set of situations. And we're going to shake the thing up, and we're going to roll it, and we're going to wipe the memory slate clean so you have no idea. And then here you are, right? And you're like, wow, I'm running into these challenges in my life. I'm probably going to have to try to transcend them, especially by building at first very primitive technologies. We have like a wheel and fire and stuff, but eventually way more complex technologies like the one that we're interfacing on, to get back to a position where we're transcending limits to the point that we're back in that godlike state, and to the point that we see our way through the game by recognizing that the value in this whole thing is suffering and figuring out and working against problems that give us value and meaning, with the ultimate goal of transcending the limitations that we've now been presented with. And ultimately, where do we end up? Into this version of the future that we're probably heading in, where if we can upload the human consciousness into the cloud, and Ray Kurzweil has some amazing, thinking on this, if that's where we're heading in the next decade or two, that will change what it means to be a human. That will put us in a position where if the brain lives forever on a computer program, we don't actually die. And we're definitely facing more technological change in the next 10 years than I think most of us can even conceptualize. And those who are conceptualizing it are programming it, and that's probably really important. So there's just a couple of things, easy things that I think about, that I think a lot of people disagree with me on. What are some that people disagree with you on? It's a really fun question, because even just to ask the question doesn't even have to be in a social setting. You can ask it yourself, and then you can start to really think, okay, well, where do I differ? Do I agree with the mainline thinking on this? And is there an outlet where I can put my thinking, whether it's a blog, whether it's a Facebook post? I don't have like an articulate way of framing this next one, but I think a lot of people disagree with me personally on social media and all this stuff. For one, I don't know that we ever needed social media. I don't even understand the concept, right? We probably needed social communities. We're probably there for some reason. And from the company standpoint, we're there because there are algorithms around extracting our data and selling it back to us, or selling it to other companies who sell us stuff. And that's neither here nor there. That's what social media is. It's not a philanthropic project. It's a company based around data. But our reasons for being there, I can say, hey, look, guys, I had oatmeal for breakfast and I'm planning a run. I can get digital signs of approval for saying that. I can get likes and loves and questions, and that can give me like a hit of dopamine that makes me feel excited, and then I can't wait to show pictures from the run because then I know I'll get more likes and more dopamine and more excited. That's one way to use Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. The other is as a canvas. This is pretty freaking cool that we can share what we think, and we can come up with solutions to problems together, and we can argue and debate and share contrarian thoughts. So it's either a canvas for your creativity and your expression and your ideas and your thoughts and an interchange of value, or your product, and essentially it is a data extraction tool. This person likes Nike shoes. This person likes this brand of oatmeal. This person runs a gym, let me sell him discounted assault bikes. Or it's a really beautiful platform for interconnection. And if we're going to be spending more time online, which we definitely undebatably are, we're definitely not, I'd love to see data that shows that we're going to go back to the woods and say, screw all this. So if we're going to spend more time online, I believe that we owe it to each other and ourselves to find a way to make this medium of value. So tuning out and signing off and getting ready to do some writing in a really beautiful place, house sitting for a friend with Raynard the cat. But would love to hear your thoughts. Contrarian beliefs that you have that most people disagree with you on, don't be afraid to put them out there. It's often fear that keeps them at bay, but they may be really important as we work to solve important problems together.